Okay, here we go. Have you all got your wine glasses topped up or your teacups, whatever? Yay, Emma. We're here with Rachel Knott, a wonderful woman and the owner, manager, runner of myanimalmatters.co.uk, one of our recommended suppliers. She has wonderful herbs and essential oils, etc. And she's going to be sharing with us this evening how she came to be into animal wellness. What was her journey to get her here, and what is her special niche today? What was your journey? This is what I know about Rachel, just to give you a heads up, is she and I both trained in Caroline and have both taken it in our own special, unique direction. So it's very much zoo pharma based, animal self-selection based, each with our own twist on the subject, which is what I love. I love everybody. When I teach people, I just love that they run with it and make it their own, right, Rachel?
Totally. We don't want any clones. No
No,
clones.
absolutely not. There's and information that's shared, and then you make it your own and just
Yeah,
go
yeah,
for
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So Rachel, first of all, tell me, where did it all go wrong? How did you start off? Where did you come from?
Uh, I mean, where I came from, that's a whole other
Yeah,
question,
okay, well,
right?
let's not
But
get too deep
I
into
suppose
this.
the animal bit,
Yeah.
yeah, the animal bit started um, when I realized that wasn't for the corporate world, or the corporate world realized I wasn't for it. Because I did the whole I was quite good at education. I was quite good at the traditional school system. I sort of fitted into that, and I found it really easy, and I enjoyed learning. So I then went on to uni and studied languages, and found that quite stressful, and thought, what do I do now? I'm going to do something corporate. Went to London, ended up being a recruitment consultant, which I was really shit at. And and then I just remember sitting at my desk going, like, looking at, it was the days when you had like targets on the wall, and you had like little boxes with phone numbers in, like they're like proper old school. I just remember sitting there going, I don't get this. Like, I would have been in my like mid late 20s. I don't get it. Like, what is this? What's the point? Like, one of those moments. And then within 2 weeks I was made redundant. So I was kind of, yeah, it was that, like, okay, right,
It's
here's your honesty
amazing.
come out. Yeah,
That,
you want to get out of this. You want to
that's the
And
universal.
that's the beautiful thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in a situation where I didn't have to earn money immediately. And I thought, what do I like? Like, I remember sitting on my bed in London going, what do we say I like? Like, I really love dogs. Well, I'm in London. What do I do? So I went and worked at Battersea Dogs Home, which is an institution in itself. It's an incredible place to be part of. It was amazing. Everyone has their own story at Battersea Dogs Home. I mean, there were people that had worked there from the age of 15 to people that had left investment banking to, it was a melting pot of people, a melting pot of dogs. So it was a baptism of fire working there for 5 years. And then I sort of learned what they taught at Battersea, the way to be with dogs, which actually at them was probably the kind of the dominance pack theory, that kind of mentality. So then I took that forward, thinking that's what it is, and moved to Oxfordshire, got myself a house with my partner at the time that we couldn't afford, because it was the time when you could mortgage yourself. You could get a property for like 500,000, even though you weren't earning. So we did all of that. And then I was like, shit, I can't afford this. We need to bring in some more money. So I started doing dog walking in addition to my work. And then dog walking turned into daycare, turned into dog boarding. And then we just had all of these dogs, and I was seeing all of these behaviors that I'd not witnessed before. And I had no interest in dog training. I knew I would have not been very good at it. I'm not especially methodical. But I wanted to understand what was going on with the dogs. I wanted to understand the behavior. So that then led me into dog behavior. So I trained with a lady called Sheila Harper. And that was probably the point where I had a bit of a breakdown, because I was running at a level that I just couldn't manage anymore. And we learned about dog stress. Now I understand it was my stress. So we spent 4 days basically breaking down all of the things that are indicators that your dog is stressed. And I remember looking at my dog's life going, your life is shit. Like, your life is shit. And it was a real turning point for me, massive turning point. But there was a lot of resistance from my partner. There was a lot of, financial stuff. So it was, there's been ebbs and flows, like real peaks and troughs. But every catalyst, every kind of challenge has pushed me into, I want to learn more. Like, how can I evolve? Where am I going next? And then that led me to Caroline Ingraham. And that, I probably say, is where I came home. I was like, right, I get it. Like, I thought what she's sharing, what she's teaching, it's like, I've always known that. That's so obvious.
So what would you say? What would you say is the core of that? When you say it's so obvious, it's what she's doing so obvious. What would you say that was actually? What was the core?
Well, at the time, I would have seen it was purely about giving dogs choices. That's what I loved. I loved the fact that she was giving them choices and they were indicating what they needed. I was like, oh, that's awesome. But now, for me, it's purely that they self-heal. We self-heal, but that wasn't even something I'd considered really at that point, because, we're taught doctors heal us. We're taught other people heal us. Other people, vets, heal the dogs. We're not taught that the dogs can self-heal and we can self-heal. So I think it was just a real, an ease. It was a total ease. But then obviously Caroline's teachings resonated to a point, but then there was a bit like, I don't get that bit doesn't resonate and that bit doesn't resonate. And obviously part of me wanted to carve my own path as well. Like, I'm not someone that kind of likes to stay in one spot. I'm always wanting to kind of poke things and be like, yeah, but why? And what I like to break things apart a bit, really. I'm not very good at accepting, well, this is the methodology and this is what you have to do. But I'm like, okay. So that's why I ended up carving my own path, which was massively liberating and freeing, because then I had to dive into learning about essential oils, like personally, rather than just reading about them from a book.
What does that
I really had to find.
What does that mean to learn about essential oils personally?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So,
Well, I mean, I guess it's, for me, it's there's book knowledge, right? But I mean, I sort of say that flippantly. It's, this knowledge has been accumulated over thousands of years from people studying plants, and they've put their knowledge in books, which is invaluable. That's one aspect. But the other aspect is we are in a symbiotic co-creative relationship with everything in nature. So our connection to plants is unquestionable. The fact that we can connect with them and feel them and understand them in ways beyond what we've been taught mentally, past beyond the intellectual side, then for me, it's like just hanging out with the plant or with an essential oil and seeing what we get and how do we feel, and recognizing that.
Is that something that you intuitively picked up for yourself, or did you study with somebody, or how did that work for you?
It came from when something didn't resonate. So when I was training with Caroline, obviously she was very much about the science. That's me with science. I just, I tried it. I'm not good at it. I'm not a natural scientist. I was thrown out of biology class for being insolent, because I'd be bored. It was too formulaic. So brilliant for people that are sciencey, but I wasn't. So I tried all of that. And I remember I went to I can't remember the name of the essential oil course. It's quite a well-known one in the UK. And I thought, I'm going to go. And I did a 2-day course on science and I bored myself to death. So I thought there's got to be something else around essential oils that lights me up. And that's how I came across Kathy Skipper and her work. So I went on a couple of her courses when she was in the UK. And then she ran what she calls I don't know if she still calls it this, aromagnosis. And this was in New Mexico. So I went and spent 5 days in New Mexico with Kathy and Florian. I don't know if anyone else knows them. And it was excellent. It was like a complete immersive experience of where like I'd see a plant in the rocks and have an emotional response to this plant. And I've never experienced anything like that before. You know, my grandpa was a gardener, my mum's a gardener. You know, as a kid, I'd have a little book and I'd like write down what the plants were, but it's never really gone beyond that. So that really was a massive turning point. And then the animal communication came with that. And it just, so for me, the intuitive, that the feeling space is the healing. Okay. The intellectual satisfies us. We love it. We love the intellectual side. We need it.
Well,
we're very it's the feeling.
We're conditioned to the intellectual part. We understand that to be knowledge, and we're deconditioned from the feeling part, from the intuitive part. You know, it's like a lot of us have been shamed in the past for saying, "Oh, this plant says something," or whatever. So totally, it's so important. And so tell me, I just want to pick on something you said there. So talking to plants, let's say, or allowing that intuitive space to open up in yourself led to animal communication, because we haven't talked about your animal communication part yet. Okay.
I think actually, I think the animal communication came first. Yeah, it did. The animal communication came, the exploration into animal communication came first, and then the plant communication bit came next. Yeah, so it's the other way around.
Right. Okay. So you were already into animal communication when you realized that there's more to this than just the pure knowledge. There's something else I'm looking for here. Would you say, is that right? I understood you?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, when I remember running workshops, because I was so excited about zoopharmacognosy, I thought I wanted to, you know, Caroline was obviously doing her job and she's written a book and everything. I was like, I want to, how can I take this out there? So I was running workshops and it was massively out of my comfort zone, because when you're doing it, you know, you've got a bunch of strangers, you've got people bringing in dogs for demonstrations. The time I was very much in a fix-it mindset. I was like, okay, this is the outcome I want for the dog. So it was a massive amount of pressure on myself. But you know, obviously there was a reason I was putting myself in those situations, to really help push me past what I've been taught and what I believe to be true. And I remember it was a Romanian rescue dog and I just couldn't connect with it. I could not. I was like, I'm getting nothing. This dog's not connecting with anything I'm offering at all. And it was almost at the point, it was the point where I went, oh, like, I'm just not, I was honest, basically. I felt my frustration rather than constantly in this space of trying. I was like, oh, there's nothing happening. I'm not getting anything. And as soon as I did, like, felt that, I just got the word neroli. I was like, oh, neroli. And as soon as I thought neroli, the dog then came over and lay next to me. And I was like, what? That's nuts. How does that work? And I told everybody, I was like, this is, you know, whether they resonated with it or not, I didn't really care at this point. I was just like, that's just happened. So that was a turning point for me when I started to recognize that where that information came from, whether it came from the dog or the plant or whatever, to me, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that it's all connected. And as soon as I connected, first of all, with my honesty, as in, you know, I'm frustrated, blah, blah, blah. Then I opened up to that space, rather than being like,
that story. It's totally an inspiring tale. This wonderful Romanian dog, because there are the Romanian dogs. They come such a journey, and they teach us so much. And here they come.
God, yeah.
Like, it's that self-honesty and that self-honesty with, and that's what they respond to. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you kind of were opening up to this sense of the animals and the plants, and so what's the next step? What happens next in your story?
I'm so rubbish at remembering the chronology of it. It all feels a bit merged.
doesn't
Well, I
it?
think what happened next, well, so obviously there's the dogs I've been working with for 22 years, and then the plants came into that. But as part of the, okay, I'm like, right, I'm getting the dog stuff and I'm getting the plant stuff, but I was still having massive challenges. I'm like, why am I still having real challenges? I've got all of this knowledge, I've got all of these holistic therapists around me, I've got all of, why is my dog still got skin issues, for example? I'd be like, what? I'm doing everything. There's books about all of these miraculous healings. What the is wrong with me? Why am I shit at this? And I went through all of that. And then I reconnected with a very old friend that I met in my London days, in my early 20s, called Dennis Murphy, who I think he would have been about in his late 20s. He like me, sort of had one of those moments. We have a breakdown where you're just like, I'm exhausted, this isn't working anymore. And he sold his house, he sold his car, he quit his job, and he just went walkabout for 10 years around the world, and just started connecting with, different cultures, different mindsets, different teachings, different healers, shamans. He went on his own spiritual healing journey. And I reconnected with him around a time when I was highly stressed. So this would have been when I was running the daycare. I just started doing Caroline's course. I was kind of opening up a little bit to animal communication. And we started to work, he started to work with me around my mindset. And I've been working with him for about 10 years now. And so that sort of has been running in the background constantly with everything. So it's kind of brought together how I work now, which is, it's not just about the plants and the dogs, it's what I'm broadcasting, what am I pulling in, what is my self-learning journey. So that's kind of, it's that, isn't it? Because we think we're going to work with a dog and we're like, I've got the plants and the person's annoying. We're like, I wish you just leave the room. And that's the place I was coming from. But then I'm like, hang on, what is the client teaching me, or what am I bringing to the table? And so that it's just, I can't escape from that now. I love that. I love learning about what the dogs are teaching me about myself, what the clients teaching me about myself, and what the plants teaching me about myself, because it's all feedback, isn't it, on some level. Totally. So that kind of was, so the Kathy Skipper and Florian kind of brought that element in a little bit more, but it's a never-ending ebb and flow of learning.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's life, isn't it? Lord forbid that I should ever wake up in the morning and think I know everything. That would be boring. I totally agree with you. I mean, that is for me what is magic too about working with the aromatics and self-selection, is that the person, we as the practitioner and the guardian as the guardian, all of the factors are totally involved in that healing space, and the magic of the essential oils and offering aromatics is that someone has to stand there present with the animal, and this is sort of for me the crux of the healing. So what you're doing now is you're bringing that in as a conscious learning part of the healing, right, with the animal mirroring, with the
massively. It's the self-honesty, because I've seen it happen. I've seen it, the biggest shifts happen when we get in touch with our self-honesty, and again, it happens in a workshop. It always does, doesn't it, when you've got an audience, because it's ramped up. And I'd run a workshop in Somerset, and this lady came in who her dog was going to be one of the demo dogs, and I knew he was a shadow chaser. That he would, I think we all know what a shadow chaser is. It says what it does on the tin. So he was a highly stressed dog. But she was also an aromatherapist, so I knew she had an understanding of aromatherapy. And she came in, and I thought, well, let's work with your dog first, because she seemed quite highly strung. I felt like she wouldn't last till the end of the day. So I thought, let's work with you first. And, you know, I had the environment set up beautifully. The dog had escape routes. It was, you know, it was kind of, I had done all the right things. I was working slowly, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I think as soon as I opened a bottle of oil, I think it was, I didn't even take the lid off. It might have been violet leaf. And I literally just touched the bottle to open it. And he started the shadow chasing. And she was like, oh God, no, this is what he does. And she was like really bereft. This is what he does. And I was like, okay, well, I think maybe we need to strip it back and let's not work with the oils. What's he familiar with? And she says, well, he has coconut oil sometimes and spirulina. So I thought, great, let's start there. Let's help him feel safe and comfy. And I kind of put him behind the people so he wasn't being stared at. And he started to self-medicate. So I obviously was like, oh, okay, I've kind of done my job a little bit. You know, you guys can see self-medication in action. So I'm like relieved. And then the guardian says, oh, I want to go and sit next to him. And I had this like real moment of conflict where I thought, I don't want you to, because he's doing his thing. So you'll just interrupt that. But then the other part of me was like, it's not about me trying to create this perfect situation. She lives with the dog. This is, let's see what happens. It was literally, let's see what happens. I was like, yeah, okay, go. So she then went and sat next to her dog and the dog walked off. And she looked forlorn. And then he started shadow chasing again. I was like, okay. And at this point, I guess I didn't really know what to do. So I said, well, and I've never done this before. This is pre-Kathy. This is pre-anybody really that had known this. It was just an instinctive. I said, well, what do you like? Are there any oils that you like? What, you're an aromatherapist? And she said, oh, I really love ginger. I thought, right, oh, bloody hell, give this woman a bottle of ginger, because she was quite stressed. So she sat with this bottle of ginger. And then she just said, I'm really sad. My husband died 2 years ago and I haven't mourned his death. And as soon as she spoke that, the dog just flipped, just lay down. And I was like, the dog has done his job. He's literally done what he's been trying to show her for 2 years with his behavior, that she's controlling her emotions. She's trying to control her stuff. So as soon as she accessed it, then the dog went, oh, okay. And that, again, that was one of those undeniable, life-changing moments that I saw. The dogs are always on it. The animals are always on us, aren't they? They don't have the mindset that humans have, that we've inherited.
Totally.
But they help really show us access that deep honesty. And sometimes it can be painful. But when we do, then it can be freeing, actually. What is it? The truth shall set you free. So your self-honesty sets you free, and it frees up the animal in a way as well. It's like, okay. So
such a beautiful story. I've got tears in my eyes and stuff, because that's totally so heart touching. That's so beautiful, because it's so true. So in your course, like in your diploma course, is that part of what you teach, is how to work with those emotions and how to work with a person's
so actually it's Che. I know you know, Nayana, it never, like, I thought, oh, right, course, a great course, that's it, I'm done. But you never, like, it just doesn't stop, does it? So actually I've dripped it in a little bit this year, which Kirsty obviously will have experienced. Last year, not so much, but I've started to drip into this year. I'm stopping a practitioner club. I'm not going to be running one next year, and maybe not the year after. I'm actually going to be creating with my friend Dennis something to do with us, the self-healing, the mirroring, bringing in a little bit of the animal communication, maybe plant communication, but it's going to be very much about what are we broadcasting, what are we being given feedback around. So I feel like we just evolve. I have to evolve with what I'm passionate about now. So that's what So it's actually going to be much more mindset led with the animals and plants kind of as the guides.
Absolutely amazing. It's so beautiful. It's such important work. It really is. It's like, I feel like this has been my life's journey, is to get people taking responsibility in their thing. And I feel like you and other people like Isla and all sorts of people we're all on board with it now, and I just love that because it's so important. It's the key, and that's what animals are giving us, is just this amazing opportunity to be honest, and it's so beautiful. Okay, listen, we're coming up to before I get really, really over the top emotional here, which I'm starting to. I just want to ask you this question before we finish up, because I really appreciate your time here. Thank you for being here with us. But here's
it's a pleasure, Nayana.
It's always a pleasure to hang out, isn't it, Rachel? Let's face it.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
So tell me, what is your top tip if you have to say to somebody, this is one thing you can do to keep your animal well, to support your animal wellness, what is it?
Stop looking for the answer. There is no, it's not about the answer. That was a massive, my world changed once I realized there's not an answer. The healing happens in the listening. So it's, I've had sessions with dogs where I'm like, I have no idea if anything's happened there. I don't even know if it was a good session or not, but I just know that I listened, that I listened to the guardian, I listened to the dog, and then the guardian's like, oh, this has happened, and I'm like, I don't know what happened. All I know is I listened. So when I'm going into a session, whether it's animal communication or teaching or whatever it is, I don't have an outcome. I don't have this is the specific outcome. I don't have I'm trying to get an answer. So in, for example, an animal communication session, I'll connect with a dog, and I don't know, the guardian may have a question, and I'll put the question, whatever it is, to the dog, but then I'll just receive information, whatever way that comes through, images or sounds or smells or whatever. But for me, it's the listening space, is the fact that that dog has been heard or has been able to express their truth, and the guardian has been able to express their truth. Because often in we're so focused, let's bring it back to zoo pharmacognosy, we're so focused on the animal, sometimes the person gets sidelined, don't they? It's like, well, they're the issue, they've caused the problems, we're kind of pointing the finger of blame at the person, but actually they just want to express what's going on for them. So often I'll say to the person, how are you feeling? What happens when your dog does that? What do you feel? And then we're like, I actually feel really angry. And then giving them that space to really feel that anger, feel that anger. It's not bad. It's not, it's honest. If your dog is pissing you off, express it, because your dog can feel it anyway. We've just become masters of disguise, masters of pretending. We fake our way through life, because that's not bad. It's just what we've inherited and what we've been taught to do. But it's the listening. Don't seek the answer, because all you'll do is be disappointed, frustrated, and you'll literally shut down the listening. So it's the listening space that is the healing space. It's not about getting the answer. That's my top tip.
That's fantastic. That's a totally good thing. It's really, it's so.
Oh, thanks for the thumbs up.
Yay! Yay! It really is. Perfect. It's all about listening. It really is. And being present there. Because to listen, you have to be present there. And those are the two things that go together. And if we can do that, if we can do that for our animals, then our animals will forgive us anything, all of the rest of it. They really, honestly. That's all they're asking.
I'd say one more thing on top of that, we have to start listening to ourselves. Because some people are so good at doing everything for their animals, aren't they? They're like, I'm doing everything. I'm like on beans, and the animals have everything, but we've forgotten how to listen to ourselves, to our bodies, to our needs, and all of those things. So
absolutely. For me, listening means being receptive to all of the information that is coming to us from within, from without. That is really listening. So you can't leave yourself out of the equation. And that's the big learning that we humans have to give, because a lot of us are throwing everything on our animals. Let's fix that, without trying to take responsibility for our own emotional space. And you can't really listen if you're not listening to yourself, because all you're hearing is your projected voices, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's really cool. I love that. It's been great. And that's it. We've done our half hour.
Fabulous. And I didn't cough.
And will be to be continued. Thank you so much for being here with us, Rachel.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you, Nayana. Have a
myanimalmatters.co.uk, one of the best places in the world to buy zoo farms supplies.
Thank you.
That's right. All right, everybody. Have a good evening. Have a lovely weekend. And we will talk soon.
See you later.
Thanks, Rachel. Bye.
Bye.